Good afternoon, everybody. I think it is, let me see, what day are we on here? I forget, all these days kind of roll together. So we're on day 286 of the 15-day lockdown. And I thought about this, and a few other people thought about this, and, well, this is the thing. We're doing it. We have to. A lot of things have happened. This COVID thing's kind of, been used to get things out of control. And, well, here we are. This lockdown is not going to end itself. So, I'm going to read to you the declaration of Make Me Day and the end of executive rule in Connecticut. So, hopefully, this works because it has to. And we have to. So here it is. The Declaration of Make Me Day and the end of executive rule in Connecticut. We, the people of Connecticut, do hereby ordain and declare Make Me Day of the 15-day lockdown for political and financial purposes, which will arrive. We also do make this declaration as our last attempt to petition the Crown, King Lamont, for redress of our grievances. We do the same recognizing that it will take a period of time for the king to transition, and especially because of the complex web of executive orders. The orders expire February 9th, 2021, and His Majesty King Lamont is dethroned. February 10th, 2021 is Make Me Day. We declare the requirements, restrictions, sector rules, and non-essential classifications over as of midnight on February 10th, 2021. The date is set. It is not negotiable. The king never made one-man rule up for discussion, so in turn, this is not up for discussion. We are not getting to day 365 of a 15-day lockdown. Whether or not the king abides by the expiration and allows a peaceful transition to rule by representation is irrelevant. That choice is no longer his. The right to work, live, and of health autonomy and religious worship is in full support, effect, and function on Make Me Day. We participants agree that we will not comply in any manner or in any respect with any limitation above and beyond those of existing law as of March 8, 2020 that we don't feel like. Our gatherings will be normal. Our businesses will resume normal hours, or whatever hours they want within the law as of March 8th, 2020. We will support and prioritize first our business and association with those who join this declaration. If any of us participants wants a vaccine, we'll seek it out. We'll let you know. If anyone wants to live in fear, that's their right. However, it's not their right to make us live in fear indefinitely. Let the following facts be submitted to a candid world. We do this because we have to, because the health risks of allowing one-man rule far outweigh the risks of COVID-19, now and in the long run. We do this because the king has willfully ignored CDC advice, selectively applying it as he sees fit in the form of travel bans and in other ways. We do this because, in all of the things the king has done, the basic standard is functionally whether he believes he can get away with it. And that standard is evident between how he treats education versus restaurants, churches versus package stores, and small towns versus large cities. We do this because the king has purposefully paid people to not ever work or find work, and he has done it in such a manner as to punish those who have struggled to find increasingly diminished hours of work. We do this because those who fell through the cracks and were mostly or entirely abandoned without help. We do this because the king has sidestepped existing public health law and now plots to make an experimental vaccine mandatory and plans to even ignore existing state law on mandatory vaccination to do it. We do this because the king has abandoned his post on several occasions, allowing the lieutenant governor to act as governor with her own royal decrees without the removal or incapacity of the governor lawfully required to do so. We do this because the king has taken far more than either this state or the United States could ever compensate us for. We do this because the king has rigged our elections by purposefully confusing the process, overruling his Secretary of State, and taking steps to protect vested interests by excluding both primary challengers and general election candidates from appearing on the ballot. We do this because he has acted contrary to his oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. The results have separated families indefinitely, and even delayed restoration of power during a major storm. This will only worsen supply chain collapses in the event this is allowed to continue. We do this because the king has forced us, during this time of intentional and economic human destruction, to pay for the continuations of special interest benefits. We do this because the king has allowed Governor Cuomo to dictate what happens in Connecticut, and Cuomo is not presently the rightful ruler of this state, nor is he in New York. We do this because the king has indeed copied and emulated and made himself subservient to Governor Cuomo, and used virtual daily press briefings to operate as a celebrity governor, and further contribute to the psychological warfare necessary to keep the citizens of this state in a state of perpetual fear and under a condition of psychological torture. We do this because there are no real plans to ever leave us alone or conclude the state of emergency. We are cognizant that PCR testing methodology above 25 cycles, calling everyone who tests PCR positive a quote-unquote case, and using the PCR positive on or about the time of death to call someone a COVID-associated 19 death. And that means, by the king's measuring stick, the lockdowns will never end, ever. We do this because the king has allowed municipal bodies to disenfranchise taxpayers and property owners by ratifying municipal budgets outside the normal process, thus rendering mayors and boards of selectmen functional lords assigned to their own fiefdoms. We do this because the General Assembly, President Trump, new to be President Biden, and the vast majority of elected officials in the Democratic and Republican parties have abandoned us, their duties, and their offices by not doing all the necessary to end this. We do this because the division of one party rules all and everyone else loses everything has gone too far, and it has created a set of problems we can no longer vote our way out of. We do this because the alternatives are homelessness, starvation, and drastically impaired health outcomes. We do this because the king has played politics with public health. He has rendered the masks a political statement, and his own political party exempt from gathering restrictions and executive orders, so much so that they were even allowed to congregate on the highway. We do this because the king will bankrupt both our towns and our state treasury, and he will use this destruction to justify ever-increasingly oppressive levels of taxation. We do this for the reasons set forth in the Declaration of Independence, referring to King George's frustration of ordinary life complained of here, and because King Lamont has mirrored that playbook, he himself even having suspended the legislature and habeas corpus. We do this because the works of King Lamont are and indeed constitute an entire breakdown of civil order, and in the name of fear and safetyism for the sole end of perpetuation of the same, and whose end has no plan or foreseeable conclusion based on the king's own data methodology. We do this because the king has exercised unknown powers that do not exist at all in the system of American jurisprudence to declare your right to life, to live, void by rendering people essential and non-essential. We do this because all of the above are orchestrated and done by way of the king conspiring with his personal court of consultants who make sweeping changes to daily life, consultants who make all decisions from the mundane to life and death without consulting us or taking our individual needs into account. We do this because the king has taken bipartisan politics of winner-take-all, loser-gets-nothing approach to its logical conclusion, indefinite autocracy by one-man rule. We do this because no one is protecting our rights but us, and we can no longer wait. We do this for the common good, for the principle that governments are instituted among men for security and the general welfare, not micromanagement of the individual and specific special interest welfare. We do not view this as you are all with us or against us. We are against the unlawful, harmful edicts of the king. If you do not want to assert your rights, or you wish to live in fear, you should remain neutral and make no reports to the king or his enforcers. Should you side with the king and assist in his works antithetical to the law and of order, we will not associate with you, support you, or your businesses. You will never be allowed to take off that uniform of oppression ever. In turn, and because this has gone too far, and should make me day arrive and the executive orders not be concluded, the king too will have no customers, association, or business with those of us committing to make me day. That includes a lifetime, non-negotiable ban from every private establishment signed up and committed to this necessary effort. We expect our duly elected representatives to convene and resume normal business as a legislature as of February 10th, 2021. If they refuse to serve us, and instead serve the king's limitation upon their assembly, we will hold our own elections and send new representatives to Hartford. If, then, our efforts to work peacefully within the form of government we are being denied, we will invoke Article 1, Section 2 of the Connecticut Constitution, which says, quote, all political power is inherent in the people, and all free governments founded on their authority and instituted for their benefit, and they have at all times an undeniable and indefeasible right to alter their form of government in such manner that they may think expedient, end quote. To that end, if it be necessary, we will issue a call for all of Connecticut's municipalities to send representatives to a new state convention, constitutional convention, whose purpose will be to reestablish order and take any necessary steps to establish necessary amendments so that our present crisis does not repeat. We will take away from government the power to commit the wrongs we now organize and pledge to undo. The king should and is directed to take clear notice that, in the event a constitutional convention becomes necessary, the existing debts and obligations incurred by this one-man rule will not carry over. We'll do all of this peaceably, too. Let the king use violence, fear, and misinformation to continue one-man rule if he may. And indeed, we expect that he will in the event this petition falls on deaf ears. Based on the way the king has proceeded, we expect he will make examples or attempt mass coercion. We're in for the long haul. We will prevail because the king has destroyed the means, the trust, and the credibility to make perpetual executive rule continue. The fear will eventually subside, and the king will run out of options. Either way he wants to proceed, continue one-man rule through violence and fear or end the state of emergency voluntarily, the decision on the king's methodology will not change this outcome. If the king wishes to tear the state in half and inflict misery and suffering to continue the lockdown, he will have to act like the usurper he is, openly and in the light of day. Showing up at the Capitol and refusing to leave until he ends executive rule and resign at some point after Make-Me Day is not out of the question. Whether the king likes it or not, we declare and will effectuate the end of his reign as of February 10th, 2021, on Make-Me Day. To that end, we pledge to the cause and mutually to each other our lives, our fortune, and our sacred honor. And that's it. February 10th is Make-Me Day. And that is what it has come to. So we will get together. We expect to have something going on in the next, week or two or so. And I'm the first one signing this. And there will be many others. And we're going to end executive one-man rule peacefully. Because this is not working. So let's all pray this works. Let's all hope that the king decides he's gone too far and he winds it down. I hope you're all well, and 2021 will definitely be a better year, whether the king wants to do it or not. And that's the truth, and may God help us all.